Idell, who's at the Cleveland Clinic, who for 15 years has been of the view that you should put something into the vocal folds rather than just take something out. He's a surgeon, a nose and throat surgeon. He himself, incidentally, has said in an interview recently in the Boston Globe that his voice is wearing down because he's been talking a lot. His voice is wearing down because he's misusing his voice. The voice doesn't wear out. It wears out because you're misusing it and you're putting the pressure in the lower throat. But aside from that...
Is that sort of like a tire wearing out?
Yeah.
In other words, if it isn't balanced or aligned the proper way, then you can cause a flat tire, you can cause a wear and tear on a part of it?
Yes, let's put it on another level, which we all understand.
So it's not really aging per se that wears the voice out. It really has more to do with the proper alignment.
That's correct. Let's put it on another level, the leg cramp. We do know, everybody does know, that a leg cramp is not a genetic problem. It's not a structural problem per se. It's a problem of putting too much pressure on the leg and creating spasms. Now, when you have a leg cramp, have you ever heard of anybody putting Botox into the leg cramp?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Because that would take the control away. Have you heard anybody doing a surgical procedure to paralyze the nerve?
No.
No. In regard to the voice, when you begin to misuse your voice and you get what is called a strangled voice, or you get a raspy voice, they are now putting in Botox to relieve the pressure in the lower throat. And I'm saying it's like a leg cramp, folks. You don't put a foreign substance in. Remember I said the vocal folds are, with the male, 4/5 of an inch, the female 2/5 or 3/5 of an inch. Very small. You take control away and you discombobulate the individual. But aside from that, why, when the leg cramp is analogously the voice cramp, because you're talking down here or you're rasping down here, you're losing your voice and your voice is failing, and you're going to your ear, nose, and throat doctor, your medical person, why are they putting in Botox or putting implants such as Saddleoff is saying, put in collagen? Collagen is not going to give you a voice lift. What it's going to do is add a substance to the vocal folds those vocal folds are being abused and misused by the way you're talking. So all you have to do to get a voice lift instead of collagen, or Peak Wood is using cadaver skin, pulverized cadaver skin, injecting it into the vocal fold to give you the same voice lift. So Idell in Cleveland is talking about putting something in rather than taking something out, as well as both. Why are they doing it? Because they're not trained in voice.
Well, Saddleoff said that, like the face, that you have to plump the voice up. So if you plump the voice up, the vocal cords up with some collagen, the voice changes. It loses the appearance of aging.
No, it's not the appearance. It's the functionality. You're losing the ability to use the voice under your control. You're getting a foreign substance in. If you have a leg cramp, do you get collagen put into your leg? Do you have cadaver skin put into your leg? We went back in time to William of Ockham, and it's called Ockham's razor, because this educator, years and years and centuries ago, said, go to the simple solution. You can get a voice lift by using just say it to yourself, and you'll feel the buzz right in your face. If you're uncertain, you're one of those who says, I don't understand this thing. I discovered it and wrote about it, and it's in my books. It's called the of America, and it does fantastically well. I developed a backup, so if everybody in TV land, and you can try it, Dr. Curtis, and I'll show it to you. You take your finger and put it at the bottom of your breastbone, and with your lips closed, you just jiggle very quickly and go, and your voice goes right to your face. This is precisely what Saddleoff is saying. Is that what the
voice lift?
Yes, that's what they're doing.
Well, then
I came up with the voice lift. They're using it as a medical term.
How can Saddleoff achieve a real voice lift by injecting collagen when he's not raising the pitch or the tone focus of the voice?
Well, that's what's confusing.
It is very confusing. He's saying he's got a medical approach to giving a voice lift. You're saying you have a functional approach to doing it. Why would
they're putting something in because they're medical people, and they're taught to put substances into the vocal folds. Zidell is saying...
Well, he says the vocal folds or the vocal cords are too thin. They're too worn out. And if you can
that's
plump...
Not,
if you can
that's
plump,
not true.
If you can plump
They're
them
not
up,
worn out.
If you can plump them up with collagen, then
no,
you don't need all of
plump
this
them
vocal
up.
rehabilitation.
You just want to change the way they're used. It's like the leg cramp. If you just take your foot and extend the heel, you will overcome the leg cramp, and then the player is back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is they want to put a substance into the vocal folds, whether it's paraffin that failed, whether it's Teflon that has come and gone. These are rages that come on called fads and fashions of medical voice care.
Well, what about
they're well-intentioned.
cadaver skin? That's a new one also.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. It's a fad. And
it's actually, they have a process that they happen to use epithelial cells from the cadaver, but it is a very refined process by which they neuter or neutralize these cells so that they're no longer something that would be rejected.
Why are you putting something into the vocal folds when all you have to do is change the pitch of your voice by using the C-spot? That's the item I just gave you, and in a second or two, it gives you your real voice, your natural voice, the voice that all too many have not used after puberty or during puberty because they didn't know what to do and they didn't have a direction. When you use the C-spot, it's called a Cooper C-spot. Physicians, when they find something, a site or something new, they name it after themselves. So I named it after myself. Everybody can use it. There's no copyright.
So are you suggesting that you're equally grandiose and narcissistic as most physicians?
No, I'm not narcissistic, grandiose or narcissistic, but I'd like to have some credit.
Oh, you mean you don't have enough credit?
Anybody can use it.
I spoke with the director of the National Institutes of Health not that long ago, and she gave you a lot of credit. She told me that she was putting on a voice conference, state-of-the-art techniques.
And March 8th?
In 2003, and she told me
that
I've known Dr. Cooper for many years. He's got nothing new to report.
About what?
He said, I told her he's reporting
about a specific.
I said he's reporting cures.
Of what?
Of spasmodic dysphonia.
And what is spasmodic dysphonia?
The strangled voice. Now, somebody
Can
once
you
said
do the strangled voice so people understand what it is?
Well, you sort of talk like this. But
no, it's like this. I want to tell you. Well, Robert Kennedy Jr. has the strangled voice. He gets Botoxed every 6 weeks. I spoke with him by phone. He's a very wonderful, kind person. He's into the environment. He's getting polluted in his environment. His vocal cords are poisoned, a deadly poison called botulinum toxin, and it's renamed Bo for botulinum or botulism.
Doesn't sound
and
dangerous.
For toxin. And Botox is the candy-like, sweet-smelling substance that he is getting. And I asked him why.
The manufacturer says it's a natural purified protein.
I understand.
They say it's like health food.
Well, fine. It's one of the world's deadliest poisons. It's 10,000 more poison than rattlesnake venom. I understand. So if you want to say what you say, I want to say, as Occam said, let's get to the simplicities, and Thoreau said, let's get to the simplicities.
Look, can you be charismatic? Robert Kennedy Jr., his father, John F. Kennedy, the Kennedys are associated with...
This is Robert Kennedy.
Oh, I know that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And they're associated with the epitome of charisma. Do you believe that a person can have charisma if their voice is strangled?
Well, he's talking like this. I heard him on national television. I spoke with him by phone. In and of himself, he has charisma, and he has a dedication to help the environment.
Is his voice
ironically, he doesn't help his own vocal cords. He's being polluted because his ear, nose, and throat doctor is telling him there are no cures. I spoke with him by phone and said there are cures. I've been reporting cures of this condition, the strangled voice, bad, raspy voices. I've been peer-reviewed and so forth.
Did you ask him whether whether he thought it was inconsistent that he's devoted his career to saving the environment?
No.
Free from toxins, but he's injecting himself with the most toxic substance known to man?
No. I didn't get to that because he was not of the view that I was a balanced individual, telling him that I've published, take a look at my website, that there are cures, and he assured me there are no cures. So the conversation ended with his belief and his assurance that there are no cures. There are cures, and for over 30 years.
I find that fascinating because I had spoken with a And you know this person, a woman by the name of Dot Sowerby. She's with the National Spasmodic Dysphotic
No, she's
Institute.
not with the National Spasmodic
She's
Dysphotic.
on their board.
No, she's not on their board. She's the president of the National Spasmodic Dysphonic Association.
Well,
that gets generous donations of money from Allergan, the maker of Botox.
Yes, but I spoke with her, and she talks like this. That's the way she talks. And I said, well, have you tried Dr. Cooper's direct voice rehabilitation? You know, and like that. And then she tells me, she refers me to a fellow by the name of McAllister. Do you know who he is?
Yes,
I think he's the executive director of the National Spasmodic Dysphonica Association.
They're all in it together.
So what I find fascinating, I called him up and I said, I just got off the phone with a colleague of yours, Dot Sowerby, and she, referred me to you. And so he asked me, well, what's on your mind? I said, why do you think that she won't try direct voice rehabilitation with Dr. Mort Cooper? I mean, who has a different approach than Botox? Well, couldn't answer that. And I said, well, do you endorse any treatment at the National Spasmodic Dysphotic Association? He said, absolutely not. We are not physicians, and we are completely neutral with respect.
They're a 501c, non-profit.
They're completely neutral with respect
funded
to
by
advocating
Allergan,
a specific form of treatment.
Yeah.
And then what I found interesting is I read an article that came out of USA Today. This was by a well-intentioned health writer named Elizabeth Wise, I believe it is. And in that article, he was quoted. And he was quoted as saying, and I thought that was fascinating because I just got off the phone with him, is that he believed Botox is the cat's meow and that it's a godsend.
Right.
Now, does that sound like somebody who says that they're neutral with respect to a treatment?
Obviously, yes. Are you questioning a man's...
I found that fascinating.
Yes.
I mean, but what's interesting is Dot Sowerby, who is would you think, a poster grandma for the association, who's... She talks worse than the electronic pharynx.
Yeah, I spoke with her too.
Did you understand what she was talking
No,
about?
I told her, Dot, I don't understand. Dot, I'm sorry, I don't want to ask, but I can't understand you. Now, this is a lady who's been Botoxed for years, and this is the outcome, contrary to what the NSDA, National Spasmodic people, are telling us. Botox is a state-of-the-art and treatment of choice.
Or the manufacturer.
Or the manufacturer.
Who says it's 99% effective.
99%. You're getting people in this organization, the top people have jumped ship and given up Botox, but they're telling the public Botox is treatment of choice. And
the top people have jumped ship?
Oh, yeah.
Who's that?
The national, Peggy Aiken, Keith Fraser, he wrote a book on Botox. You have...
Not the ones I talked to. Boy, they still seem like they're pretty wedded to Botox.
Oh, no.
What makes you think that the paradigm can change? A paradigm is an interesting thing because it's sort of like an alive kind of growing creature, like a large amoeba. How do you change a paradigm when the pharmaceutical establishment is committed to promoting the sale and the distribution and the use of Botox?
And control the field. Who says you change it? You just understand it. We're closing in the last few seconds.
Well, why do voices fail? I mean, the medical community says it's a neurological problem, it's a biochemical one, it's viruses due to a lot of things.
Yeah.
You think it's maybe William of Ockham had something to say about this? It's
yes,
a more simple
these
process.
Things go on and on. Thank you, Dr. Curtis. Why voices fail? Ask yourself. You're misusing your voice. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye.
No, I mean, I think they say that it's medical. They do not subscribe to the... I asked a colleague
They say
of
it's
yours,
medical because they're not trained in voice
I asked a
use.
colleague, Arnie Aronson. He says, look, it's
Aronson is
what
an icon
Cooper's
in the
doing.
field.
He said he's curing people with psychogenic varieties of spasmodic dysphonia. It's a mental thing. I said he doesn't do psychotherapy.
Well, how do you know I don't do psychotherapy?
Well,
Maybe I'm doing it in the back room.
I've read your book. I've read your
Well,
book. I know
no,
what
I
you're
don't
doing
do
with
psycho.
people.
What
You're
I'm
not
doing
doing neurology.
I'm showing them how to use their voice. That's functional. It's a different approach. But they don't understand that. So I'm off the board.
I think it's fascinating that it is like a night and day difference in the paradigm, because you're saying that this thing is functional. They're saying that it's medical.
That's right. That's the entire difference, and it's not going to change. They control the turf, and they have the drug companies, and that's the way it's going to be.
Well, or do the drug companies have them?